As long as I stick to the schedule, everything's going to be fine. And I just have to focus and stop allowing myself to be distracted. Paris, don't distract me!
Many of Paris's defining traits are framed as personality flaws or sources of conflict because it's a show, I know. But they can also reflect someone who relies on structure and achievement to navigate a world that often feels unpredictable. This isn't me trying to diagnose Paris, I want to make that clear. But personally, I feel like her blunt communication, need for control, and obsessive productivity and difficulty navigating social nuance closely mirror patterns associated with high-achieving neurodivergence, including autism.
Go ahead, tell them!
Welcome to another episode of Pexposure. I'm Pecky, and I love to psychoanalyze myself through the characters I watch in film and TV, using my background in psychology and communication. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of my episodes. Neurodivergence is a broader term used to describe differences in how a person's brain processes the world, including differences in communication, attention, sensory sensitivity, emotional regulation, learning, and social interaction. In medical settings, some of these differences may fall under diagnoses like autism, learning disorders, communication disorders. So when I say Paris feels autistic-coded or neurodivergent-coded, I'm talking about patterns in the way she communicates, regulates emotion, responds to uncertainty, relies on structure, and struggles with unspoken social rules.
I just wanted to tell you again that I had so much fun last night.
Yeah, after 5 messages on my answer machine, I kind of got that impression.
Too much, sorry.
It was fun, and we should do it again. I mean, as friends. When Rory first suggested us going out, I thought the idea was crazy, but hell, you never know, right?
Yes. You never know. So, what, I get all your cast-offs now? I'm just that pathetic?
Paris experiences emotions intensely and often struggles to express them in ways other people understand or accept. From the beginning, she has trouble with the unspoken rules of social interaction. She excels academically, but in conversation, she often comes across as awkward, confrontational, or overly direct.
Do you think your mom is sorry she got pregnant so young?
Of course she is.
Why, thank you.
I didn't mean that.
I also think sensitivity is a major part of why Paris reads this way. She's often treated like she's simply harsh, but a lot of her harshness feels protective. Paris often seems like someone who's constantly bracing herself against the world. Her intensity feels physical. Paris does well in environments with clear rules and expectations. Achievement becomes the framework that defines her sense of self. We see this in her work on the Franklin, the Chilton newspaper. Paris treats it like an institution and holds it to the standard of a major publication.
Jeez.
The New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post. These publications are our competition.
Paris has gone bye-bye.
The Franklin gives her a system to master, and another space where she can prove she's operating above everyone around her. Her intensity starts to feel less like simple ambition and more like a need for order, purpose, and exceptionally high expectations. The student body election shows this too.
And let me start tomorrow for you today.
Paris understands achievement, strategy, and her hierarchy, but she doesn't always understand how she's being received socially. Her leadership style is rigid and command-driven. She knows how to organize people, set expectations, and push toward a goal, but she often misses the emotional cues that make people feel comfortable following her.
Well, fine, they don't like me. Big deal, right? I'm still most competent.
Paris treats social interaction like another system she has to manage. She may not instinctively know how to make people feel at ease, so she compensates through strategy and control. And bringing Rory onto that ticket becomes part of that strategy. Rory has the warmth and approachability that Paris lacks. And Paris recognizes that social ease has value even if she can't naturally perform it herself.
You will soften my image. You're crazy, please.
That's part of what makes Paris feel so human to me. She wants to be included. The problem is that she often approaches connection with the same intensity she brings to competition, which makes the thing she wants even harder to reach.
I can't believe this. I finally get asked out on a date and I missed it. Was it a good ask out?
It was a very good ask out.
God, I wish I'd been there.
When Jamie first shows interest in Paris, she doesn't immediately recognize it as romantic attention. Part of that may come from insecurity or not being used to that kind of attention, but it also fits the larger pattern of Paris missing social cues when they're indirect. Jamie is showing interest through tone, attention, and romantic subtext, but Paris doesn't seem to see it until Rory points it out to her.
Well, perfect. Promise?
Swear.
Thanks. Now get in the closet.
What?
Once they start dating, Paris becomes intensely private about the relationship. She confides in Rory because Rory feels like the safest person to tell, then reacts strongly when she thinks the trust has been broken. Privacy feels like safety to Paris. Once that safety feels threatened, she goes straight into defense.
You told her about Jamie. I can't believe I ever considered you my best friend.
She has a hard time holding a more nuanced view when she gets hurt. We see this later too when she gets voted out of the Yale paper and finds out Rory is the new editor. Those two things aren't necessarily linked, but Paris doesn't see it that way. There's very little room for gray area when it comes to Paris.
Enemies move in silence and strike when their prey is weakest. Pretty much sums you up, doesn't it, Editor Gilmore?
This is where she can start to feel neurodivergent because she seems to struggle with the emotional ambiguity of relationships, especially when trust, privacy, and unspoken social rules are involved. Harvard is the organizing principle around which Paris has structured her identity. When she's rejected, that structure collapses. This rejection reveals how sensitive Paris has been underneath the control the whole time. She's built her identity around achievement, so that rejection really overwhelms her.
I'm not going to Harvard. I got the tiny envelope.
The series presents the scene as shocking, but it also shows a real loss of emotional regulation after years of trying to manage every variable in her life.
Who in the world deserves to go to Harvard more than me? Have you seen how hard I've worked over these past 4 years? I mean...
This is actually one of the few scenes in Gilmore Girls that genuinely makes me choke up every time I watch it. Paris's bond with Rory also makes more sense through this lens. Their friendship develops because Rory recognizes that beneath the aggression, there's fear, pressure, and a deep desire to succeed. Rory doesn't express those same emotions the same way Paris does, but I think she relates to them too. Would you want me to do a video on Paris and Rory's friendship? Comment and let me know. Paris has spent her life believing in rules, effort, discipline, and clear outcomes. If she does everything correctly, she should get the results she worked for. When that doesn't happen, she turns her rejection into a cause and effect rule.
I'm being punished. I had sex, so now I don't get to go to Harvard.
But the rejection makes more sense when we remember the Harvard interview. Paris has every formal requirement, but the interview requires a different kind of skill. It asks her to present herself with warmth, flexibility, and social awareness, and that's where Paris struggles. When she listens back to the recording, the problem isn't that she isn't qualified, it's that she can't regulate how she's coming across.
It's a little hot in here. Can we do something about that? Anyway, population control has been dramatically successful in most European countries to the detriment of some, especially Italy, which is experiencing a marked
Do you
drop.
think this has anything to do?
Whoa, just let me finish my thought here.
But Paris...
Please!
The same drive that makes her exceptional on paper becomes harder to translate in a room where tone, pacing, and likability matter. Give this video a like if you're enjoying so far. And this is why Paris feels a little autistic-coded to me. Not just because she's awkward or intense, but because the same traits keep showing up across different environments. She struggles when expectations are unspoken. She can master a system, but she has a harder time when the system depends on tone, flexibility, or reading the room in real time. Paris also doesn't seem to have much emotional safety at home. The show often frames her as someone who has resources, opportunity, and status, but not really a loving family. She has access to elite schools and every possible resume-building advantage, yet she often seems emotionally alone. Achievement becomes one of the few places where she can feel solid. Of course, some of this could come from upbringing and pressure too, but when you combine that emotional loneliness with rigidity, directness, social confusion, intensity, and need for control, the autistic-coded reading starts to feel believable. Paris is an especially compelling autistic-coded character because she doesn't fit the more socially palatable version of neurodivergence we often see on television. Even when Paris earns strong grades, leads organizations, and appears successful, those accomplishments hide how much strain she's under. A lot of her abrasiveness comes from defensiveness. At Yale, Paris starts to care more about her social life and wants to make sure she's living the full college experience.
I'm Paris Geller, Suite 5. It's open. It's got a candle. Perfect for some deep conversation. Prepare 2 to 5 subjects to discuss so that the conversation doesn't lag and totally ruin the vibe.
We see that now she has Terrence, her life coach, and is trying to manage herself in a new way. She has someone helping her redirect her anger and become a more balanced version of herself. But being who she is, even growth becomes something to organize. At spring break, Paris isn't really relaxing. She's trying to complete the experience correctly.
Pull your covers down and roll on the bed.
Why?
We are sharing this room with 4 other girls, Rory. Plus 10K Barbie, we have to stake out our territory.
Yes, and then we need to up your dosage.
We see the same pattern when she's the editor of the Yale paper. Her leadership becomes so rigid that the people around her eventually turn against her. She wants the paper to run at the highest possible level, but she struggles to see when her standards are making the environment impossible for everyone else. Her behavior is less explosive than it was in high school in some ways, but the same need for structure and control is still there.
I'm not talking the art of war. Oh no. That's a tiptoe through the tulips compared with what you're going to find beyond these walls. Betrayal, deception, and that's just in the bedroom. That was a joke. You were supposed to laugh.
By the time we see Paris in A Year in the Life, she's exactly as successful as everyone expected her to be. She has the career, status, and sharpness that made her Paris. The same traits that made her difficult in high school have also made her powerful in the real world. Her focus, drive, and refusal to be underestimated have helped her build a serious career, but the emotional pattern is still there. Neurodivergence doesn't disappear just because someone becomes high-functioning, successful, or impressive on paper. A person can learn how to perform, adapt, and build a life while still struggling internally with regulation, relationships, uncertainty, and the need to feel in control.
All my education, the advanced degrees, the academic awards, all my accomplishments. And I'm still just Paris Geller, the amazing, insignificant, invisible girl.
Again, we're not trying to diagnose her, and we're not excusing every harsh thing she says or does. Paris can be cruel sometimes, but I think there's value in looking at her with more context, because so much of her aggression seems to come from fear, overwhelm, and the need to protect herself. What Paris needs is support, emotional regulation, and people who can see the anxiety beneath the aggression. People behave in complicated ways. Some of it comes from personality, some of it comes from upbringing, and the way a person's brain processes the world. Bad behavior shouldn't be ignored, but people are often carrying things we don't immediately see. She's sensitive in a way she doesn't always know how to soften. By the end, I don't see Paris as just a difficult person. I see someone who spent most of her life trying to make the world feel less unpredictable. And that's why she remains one of the most compelling characters on Gilmore Girls. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and go ahead and leave a comment and let me know what you think. And I'll see you guys in another video soon. Bye!